everyone, it's Mrs. Slauson. So today is the day that you need your TI graphing calculator. So if you don't have one, you need to get one. However, somebody did share with me, I've got my phone in front of me, in the App Store of your phone, it doesn't really matter if you have an Android or Apple, is an app that's called Calculator 84. So if you look, there you can see the spelling, or sorry, Calculate 84. And if you get this, so here we go, I'm going to get this. This should work as a graphing calculator. So I haven't actually tried it, so we're going to see. So if you need to get that app, then get that app, because you definitely got to practice what to do. When we do take a test or a quiz or whatever, you will not be able to use your phone. So I'm going to pause for a moment and just see how this works. So hold on. So I have to sign in. Hi everyone, it's Mrs. Slauson. Today's the day we're going to start using our graphing calculator. So if you do not have a graphing calculator, there is an app you can get on your phone, and it's called Calculate 84. So go to your App Store, type that in, and it does act as a graphing calculator. It works a little different, and I'm going to show you in the beginning, but in the end I'm just going to stick with my my TI graphing calculator. And please note that on a test you cannot use your phone, you can only use the graphing calculator. So sorry, you won't be able to get out of that one. So in your notes, I'm in section 1.2 and we are on page 14, and so if you could go there, that would be great. So one thing we're going to be using a lot this year is the graphing calculator, definitely more than what we ever used in Algebra 1 and geometry. So we want to start getting familiar with it. So one thing that we're going to have to learn to do is, you know, those key points that I always ask you to label, like the maximum, the minimum. So those are your turning points, the x-intercepts, and the endpoints. Sometimes we need our calculator to do that. So what I want you to do, and let's see, we can go both of these. What you want to do is you just want to be, I'm on the main screen right now, and we are going to be going to the y equals button. So most of the graphing buttons that we're going to be using are right up here. I'll also be using these arrows, which you can also see on my phone. So I'm going to go to the y equals button, and if you have any equations, just clear out of them. So I'm just hitting clear right now. Maybe just scroll down and make sure, like, see this, I would get an error message. So make sure that all of these are clear. All right, I know it's clear on my phone, but yeah. All right, you're going to see any messages that pop up. Boy, I hope only appropriate things pop up. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is, again, I'm on page 14, and I'm about to type in this absolute value. So regardless of which one I'm working with, I'm going to do the same thing. So unfortunately, you won't be able to see everything that I'm doing. So I'll try to move up and down. So what I'm going to do is first type in the 2, right? So the 2 pops up, the 2 pops up. And then I need to get these absolute value bars. So the way you get the absolute value bars is you're going to press this math over here on the left. Okay. So let me do that on the graphing calculator. See, it's exactly the same. And then you want to scroll to the right with your arrows till you get NUM to pop up. And you want to choose option 1. So when it's highlighted like this, you can just press enter, or you can type in the number that it's correlated with. So 1 or enter will work, 1 or enter will work. And what you should see are these bars popping up. Now, if you have an older operating system, which I don't have one to show you, yours might say ABS in parentheses. So those parentheses are going to act as your absolute value bars. So now I'm going to type in X. So your X is next to this green alpha button. So I'm going to type in X minus 3. And then to get out of the absolute value bars, I'm just going to arrow over. So on the X minus 3, arrow over. And then I need to get this minus 4. So same thing here, minus 4. All right, every time we graph, we're going to start with a standard window. And if you press zoom 6, that's a standard window. So I'm going to press zoom 6, and I'm going to do the same thing here, zoom 6. And there it is. So look, the calculator graphed it way faster. So what a standard window is on the x-axis, it goes all the way from -10 to 10, and on the y-axis, 10 to 10. So what you want to do is when you graph is you just need to make sure that you can see those important points. Can you see the x-intercepts? Can you see the turning points? And can you see those end points, those end behaviors? And I can do that in either one. So what we need to do is figure out what these points are. So first what I'm going to do is I'm going to come down here and I'm going to draw my picture. All right, so I like to draw on the x and the y-axis. Whoops. And I'm going to draw the picture. You will very soon see I am horrible at drawing. So something like this. I'm just using different colors. It doesn't have to be perfect. So these are arrows here, arrows here. So I'm going to not be on the calculator for a second. So remember, I need any turning points. I need those end behaviors. So this is x comma y. And I need my x-intercepts. So those are the ones, excuse me, that I'm going for. So let's just start the one I don't need the calculator for, and that's the arrow. So remember, this arrow is pointing to the left, and it's pointing up. So x is left or right. Since it's pointing left, it's -infinity. That's not very good. And then your y is your up or down. So since it's going up, that's going to be infinity. Over here, this is going to the right and up. So right for x is infinity, and up for y is also infinity. So now I'm going to get these points. So let's start with the graphing calculator version, right? So what I want to do is figure these out and this point. And again, it doesn't matter which option I'm on. So I'm going to set the phone to the side for a moment. And you want to press second trace, because we're going to have the calculator calculate those points. So let's start with the most obvious point. That's going to be that turning point, and that's a minimum. So what you want to do is choose option 3. So I am doing this on the phone. All right, and then you're going to see a cursor. So if you notice between the two, the cursor's in the same spot. So what you do on the graphing calculator is we need to track this point. So I'm going to move the cursor. You only go left or right, so that it's on the left side of this point. And it's asking me, all right, get your cursor on the left side. So I get it on the left side, and I'm going to do the same thing here, moving my cursor. Where is it? Hold on, let me try this again. Minimum. I went too far, sorry. Let me fix this. So again, it works much better if we're all on the same tool. Okay, so it's on the left. It doesn't matter where it's on the left, just somewhere close to being on the left. And when it says left bound, notice it does not say left bound here. But now the calculator's saying, all right, is this where you want it to be? And to tell it yes, you hit enter. And now it's saying go to the right. So this doesn't say left bound, so I'm just going to have to mark it. I hit enter, and you're going to see a line pop up. So you see the line here. Not all the calculators show that line, but now I need to get to the right side of that. So I use my arrow and I just move it somewhere to the right, and I'm going to do the same here, somewhere to the right. And it's going to say right bound, and I'm going to hit enter. And on the graphing calculator, it says, okay, you want me to guess, and it's not going to guess. It's going to get exact. All right. And then when I'm on the right side here and I hit enter, you will not have to do it a third time because the guess won't pop up. It will just say, here's your minimum. So if you notice, this is 2.999 for x, and this is 3. Pretty much the same number. So we're going to use 3. Never use all of those. Just say it's 3. And y, it says -3.99, which is pretty much -4, which is what it says here. So as I do on the other things, I expect you to label your points. So 3, -4. And now we're going to practice the zeros. So for the zeros, I'm going to go back to second trace. It's always second trace. And the x-intercepts are called zeros. The reason why they're called zeros is because when we are done with these points, so I'm going to find this one, so it's x and y, and this one's x and y. All x-intercepts have a y value of 0. So that's why the calculator calls it zeros. It's not, they don't use x-intercept. So now that I'm on second trace, I'm going to scroll down to zeros. 0, I'm going to hit enter and enter, and we're going to do the same thing. So we need to get our cursor here or here. So again, we use the graphing calculator first. So right now, my suggestion is, just get the cursor where you think it's supposed to be, like where you think that 0 is. All right, so there I think it is. So when it's saying left bound, it's saying from here, move to the left. So use your left arrow and move a couple times to the left. Doesn't matter. Don't get too far. Whoops. Oh, man. I don't know what that did. So I'm going to do the same thing here. But remember, it's not asking me left bound. Oh, I take it back. It is up here, left bound. So once I like where it is, I hit enter, enter. There goes the line. Again, doesn't always do the line. And then it's asking for right bound. So see, I don't use this. It says right bound here. So what I need to do is go back to where I think that 0 is. And then I need to move to the right of it. So to the right of it a few times. And then on this one to the right of it a few times. I hit enter here. It's always going to ask me to guess. It won't guess. And I get this. And here when I hit enter, it just does it. It won't guess. It's just going to give you the answer. So the 0, it just says that x is 1. Over here it says that x is 1 and y is 0. Okay, so I'm going to fill that one in. And then last one, and then I'm not going to be using both calculators, so I'm just going to stick with the graphing calculator, and hopefully, you're going to get the gist of this. So now I've got to find the other x-intercept, the other 0. So hit second trace, and again I'm going to choose 0. And this time I always go to where I think the 0 is first. So here or there. All right. So again, it's asking me left bound, left bound. So when I think I'm there, I go to the left. I hit the left arrow, enter. And here I hit the left arrow somewhere. Just get close to it, enter. All right. Now it's asking for a right bound. So I go back to where I think it is. And now I go to the right to get the right bound. So, and then this one gives it to you, and this one you have to go one more time with guess, and I get 5, 0. Here it just says 5. Again, it doesn't give you the y value of 0. All right, once you have that, you can start to answer all the questions. So let's start here. All right, again, we got increase, decrease, positive, and negative. So they might not be in order, but if you do increase, I would do decrease with it. So you go left to right, and I do not have the highlighter. Well, no, I do. Okay, so I'll highlight for positive and negative, but not for increase, decrease. So here it's decreasing when it gets to the bottom, and then it starts to increase. So since I have the decrease first as I go left to right, I'm going to fill that one in. So I've got one decrease, and I've got one increase. And for the decrease, remember, you only use the x values. So it starts at -4, and it goes to 3. Sorry, negative infinity. I think I said 4 to 3. And it's always parentheses. And remember, when it gets down to the bottom, it's not increasing or decreasing. So we don't include 3. So that's why I use the parentheses. And then the increasing is going to go from 3 to infinity. Always the x values. 3 to infinity, parentheses. And remember, at 3 down here, it's not increasing or decreasing, so we don't include 3. So now I'm going to do the positive and the negative. So why don't we make negative? Oh, look, it even says yellow. And we'll make positive. Oh, goodness, I got the right colors. Pink. All right, so going left to right. Remember, this is where we're looking. Where is y positive and where is it negative? Well, here it's positive, and then it has a little area that it's negative, and then it's positive again. So when I do this for negative, I'll have one negative, but when I look here, I've got 2 positives. So I'll do one positive and another positive. And again, I just work left to right. So first, here it's positive until it gets to here. So I'll use my x values of -infinity to 1. And remember, when it gets to 1 right here, y isn't positive or negative, it's 0. So that's why we use parentheses, because we don't want to include it. It's not positive at 1, it's 0. And then now I'll do my negative, so it's going to start at 1 until I get to 5. Again, we use parentheses for the same reasons. And then I got my last positive from 5 to infinity. All right, so here it has maximum, a minimum. I only have a minimum, so it's a minimum. I'm going to abbreviate value of -4 because we're talking right here when x is 3. Something like that. You just cannot write the coordinates. So max isn't going to have an answer. And then my average rate of change, I'm going to, again, these are the x values. So I want to know, how did it change from when x was -2? So let's see. So about here, oh, this might be -2, until it hit 4. So 4 is about here. So I'm going to take the fact that it went down and then it went back up, and I'm going to average that slope together. So how do you find those values? The calculator will do it for you. So let's go back to the calculator. If it's shut off, then shut off. And what you need to do is access the table. I think this is a great way. There's so many ways to do it. But you can do second table and, whoops. Yeah, hold on. Okay, so if you notice, I want your x's to be kind of in this particular order. So if I do second table here, my x's are from -4, 3, -2, -1. So this is in a different setting than this. So if your X screen is not filled all the way like this one is, I need for you to do this. What you want to do is hit second and window, and we're going to go to our table setup. Whoops, that's not what I did. Second, window. And where do I want my table to start? So I want it to start at 0. I want it to go up by 1. So like this is going up by 1. It's -4, -3, -2. So this one's starting at -4. My new one will start at 0. But the main thing that I want you to have is that in independent, I just hit enter to make the auto highlighted. And now you're going to see something very similar. So I'm just going to go to where x is, I don't even remember there, -2. So I'm going to have to scroll up here to get its y value, and here I can see what it is. So -2 and 6. And then I'll just stick to the calculator. And then when x is 6, you can scroll and see that it's 2. Oh, sorry, not 6, 4. And it's -2. All right, remember, average rate of change is just slope. Subtract these y's on the top. I think it's easiest to do 6, take away -2, which means if I subtract this way, I will have to follow the same way for the x's. So I'll have to do -2, take away 4. I'm not a big fan of subtraction, so I like to add the opposite. So add the opposite. And here I'm going to add the opposite. And then a much better addition. I get 8, -2 plus -4 is -6. And again, average rate of change has to be over 1. So you want to get out of the screen by hitting second mode on any format that you're using, and just do 8 divided by -6, enter, and that's going to be my answer, -1.333. We'll go 3 decimals over 1. That is our average rate of change. All right, let's see. So here, what I wanted us to do was to fill all of these out. I put them in the graph, but let's do these just as a reminder. And this one. So again, I got the x-intercepts, the endpoints, the turning points, but let me show you how you find the y-intercept and how you find these. So a y-intercept is right here, and all y-intercepts have x as 0. So you just have to find the y value. So technically, with the y-intercept, you're given 0, just like we're given -2 and 4, and we're going to find the y-intercept. So let me show you another way. One way, again, is you can go to the table by hitting second graph and scroll for 0 and -2 and 4. The other thing is if you go back to second trace, choose value. And down here, and this is on the other calculator too, it's going to ask you, all right, what x value do you know? So I'll put in -2, and there's the y. Or I do it again, value, and when x is 0, and there's 2. This takes a little bit longer. I do think the table is better. However, this option is good if you have a decimal. So what if I gave you 2.5? Then you could see it, because my table is not set up to go by halves. And you can set that, but we're just working on, quick and efficient right now. So I'm looking at my calculator, and it said 0 was 2, and -2 has 6, Oops, sorry, you can't see that. And 4 has -2. All right, let's see if there's another one. All right, there is another one. So we're going to practice another absolute value. All right, there's actually a couple of them. So let's see. I'm going to go to y equals. Again, now I'm only going to be on my graphing calculator. And I've cleared out my equation. I just hit clear, and I'm going to type in -2. So one thing I want you to notice is some people don't do the negative. They do a subtraction sign. And if you notice how these look very different. So be careful of that. I'm going to get to those absolute value bars by, again, I press math. And I scroll to the right to this NUM, and I choose this. And now t, we won't get to use t. We're going to have to use our x button. So I'll do x -7, hit the right arrow to get out of the bars, and then I'll do plus 18. Again, anytime you start a graph, I want you to press zoom 6. And this is the standard window. So this is absolute value. Absolute value is always a V shape. And unfortunately, we cannot see the whole V shape. So if you noticed it drawing, it went up, and then it's coming back down. So we need to adjust our window. So a really good thing to try is one, you can just go to the window and see. So this is my min, this is my max, -10 to 10. And then again, I pressed window, and my y goes from -10 to 10. So one thing I need to do is go more to the right. So maybe instead of it stopping at 10, maybe we try 20. And then my max only goes up to 10, but remember, it went past. So let's change the y. Let's change y max to 20. And I'm just using my up and down arrows. And now I'm going to hit graph. You might have to play around with those numbers. And look, that worked great. I can see my x-intercepts, my turning point, and the end behavior. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to draw it over here. And I'm always curious as to the window that you use, so we'll do that in just a second. We'll fill that out, and it goes something like this. Again, this is not perfect. All right, so my windows, I'm asking what was your x min and your x max, and so -10 and 20, and the same for the y's. So this is just saying it went from -10 to 20, and it did here, -10 and 20. All right, we will come back to this in just a moment, but we're going to go through this. So first, I should have done this. Let's read what this problem was about. A drone is used to deliver a message from one person to another. Its flight path can be represented by the function below. H is the height, so you know the drone's going up in the air and then coming back down, and t is after seconds. So as it turns out, because time can't be negative, we're only going to need this side of the graph, because over here, if x represents t time, there is none. So this is actually the only part of the graph we need. And I'm actually going to stop the graph here because this is the height. And if it goes below this line, then I'm saying that the drone has like crashed into the ground. It's going through the ground and working its way through the earth. So that's actually the only part of the graph that I need. So what we're going to do is find, this is a starting point now, a turning point, and an end point, which also happens to be a y-intercept and an x-intercept. So again, in a y-intercept, y has a value, but x is 0. In an x-intercept, x has a value and y is 0. So just some things to keep in mind, and then we'll do our min and max. So let me go back to my graph, and I always just like to start with this easiest one. So again, I press second trace. I'm going to choose maximum because that's the highest point. And again, what I like to do is always go to where I think it is. So I think the maximum is here. And so you're going to see our answer is probably pretty close to this. But now it's telling me to go to the left. So I do a couple times, hit enter. And then it wants me to go to the right of it. So I go back to where I think it is, and then I hit the right arrow a few times. Hit enter for right bound. On the phone, you're done. On this calculator, I have to hit one more time for guess. And again, 6.99, we're going to say it's 7, and 17.99, we're going to say that's 8. So 18, sorry. All right, let's find this point. So this is given x. So again, given x, I can go to my table and find the y. So that's 4. Or you can press second trace, choose value, whoops, and let's give the x that way. So it's 4. And for this one, this is the one where we use the 0. So again, press second trace, choose 0. So you can press 2, scroll down and hit enter. That's up to you. And what I got to do is go all the way over to where I think it is. I'm using my right and left arrows to move around. And again, I always go to where I think it is first. And now, once I'm there, I want to go to the left of it. So hit your left arrow a few times, hit enter. Then for the right arrow, I go back to where I think it is, and then go to the right of it, hit enter. On the phone, you're done. One more time on the calculator. And there's my 0, 16, 0. So that's it. Again, because of this was kind of an in-context situation, I don't need the whole graph. So in interval notation, what is the domain of the function in context? So smallest x to biggest x. Remember, domain is x. So if you've written your points down, you're looking for the smallest x you wrote down, which is 0. And the biggest x we wrote down was 16. So usually with domain, you do include the brackets, because here, this is just saying at 0 seconds, you know, the drone's just sitting there and it's probably like 4 feet, is it feet, off the ground. So maybe it's in my hand. And then it takes off, it hits its high point, and then it comes back and it lands on the ground. So it is on the ground, and that's at 16 seconds. All right, so what's the range? Remember, that's just your lowest y and your biggest y, lowest and biggest. So if I look at my y's, the smallest y I wrote was 0, and the biggest y I wrote was 18. And again, usually with domain and range, you use brackets when there are numbers, because it was actually at 0 feet, and it was actually at 18 feet. And this is the only time we use the y values in range. In every other instance, we will use the x values. All right, so on what time, interval of time is the drone's height negative? It's never negative, because then it's crashed in the ground. So in context, this doesn't make sense. It's never. We'll come back to this one last. So where is it increasing? So again, we've got our increasing and our decreasing, and we'll use our x values. So it starts at 0 until it hits 7. So it's increasing from 0 seconds to 7 seconds with parentheses. Where is it decreasing? It starts decreasing at 7 seconds until it hits the ground at 16 seconds. So again, always the x value. Sorry about that. Where is it positive? Well, it's always positive. So it's going to be positive starting at 0 seconds until it's done and on the ground after 16 seconds. So 0 and 16. Again, parentheses. The only time we're really ever going to be using brackets is with domain and range when it's numbers. What was the drone's maximum height? Well, the maximum height was the 18, because remember, this is h of t. H is like the y value. So it's a max height of 18 feet. And then when it says, how long did it take to get there? After or in, hold on, 7 seconds. All right, so again, I'm going to say the average rate of change last. So what does this mean? So 3. So again, when it's in the parentheses, that's t, when the time is 3. So you got 2 options. You can go to your table and look for 3, or you can hit second, sorry, you can't see that, second trace, choose value, and put in 3. So 10. So this is how you write your answer. H of 3 equals 10. And what this means is after, remember this is t, so 3 seconds, the drone has a height of 10 feet. So sorry you can't see that. So what's this mean? So this is 8, right? So this is a little bit more of a challenge. So this time you're asked for 8. So let's see. Unfortunately, the second trace only works this value if you know what your x is. It doesn't work for y. So I'm going to go to the table, and for now, until we get to solving, I'm going to hope that I can see 8. And I can, and it's 2. So h of 2 equals 8. So again, means the same thing. After 2 seconds, the drone has a height of 8 feet. Let's answer these questions. So is it a function? If it graphs it in the graphing calculator, it's a function. Yes. The reason why is, this passes the vertical line test. If I look at my table, all these x's are different. Is the function 1-to-1? No, it's not. It does not pass the vertical line test. And if you look at the table, you're going to see some of your y values popping up more than once. So let me see where you'll see that. Okay, so like 10 is showing up twice, 12 is showing up twice, 14 is showing up twice. So this one's no, it's not. All right, last one. Find the average rate of change from 2 to 6. So again, this is if x is 2, we'll have to figure out the y. And if x is 6, we'll figure out the y. And again, the easiest way to do that is I'm already in the table. So 2 has a y of 8 and 6 has a y of 16. So 8 and 16. And then it's just slope. Subtract your y's. I like 16 minus 8, which means I'll have to do 6 minus 2 the same way. This gives me 8. This gives me 4. Divide them and you get 2. So it's 2 over 1, always over 1. So now this is a new one. What does it mean in context? Remember, these are the y's on top, and the y's are the h. So this is our height. That means this is everything that's in feet. And then our x's are in the bottom, and here our x's, they're the t. So this is our time. It's in seconds. So what this means is, and I will write it down here, is the drone is increasing, and I know it's increasing because this is a positive number, 2 feet every or per 1 second on average. Sometimes it's going faster, sometimes it's going slower, but overall it's 2 feet. All right, that is it. I know that there are the notes here, but let me take a quick look. I think that I shall put this in a second video. I think if you're feeling pretty good about this, maybe try it first and compare your answers to mine. I don't know. I'm going to make a separate video though. All right, so tune into that one.